If you were to ask a lot of people what their biggest fear is, most likely you will hear at least a few times snakes. And there's a good reason to be afraid of snakes. The Texas Public Health Journal cautions that there were 5,684 bites from venomous snakes from the year 2000 to 2013, and that is just in Texas. 2 of those bites proved to be fatal. Being able to identify venomous snakes could help you to alleviate some of the fear that you might have for them and possibly even save your life. Today we're going to discuss how to visually identify 4 types of venomous snakes in Texas: the copperhead, cottonmouth, rattlesnake, and coral snakes. During my research, I have found information written by medical doctors, pharmacists, a professor at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, and the Texas Department of Parks and Wildlife. I have also learned many of these identifiers myself while living in the Texas countryside and seeing these snakes firsthand. The first 3 types of snakes that we are going to discuss all belong to a subfamily of snakes called the pit vipers. These snakes have a pit on their face that is a heat-sensing organ, and it's located between their eye and their nostril. So our first example of a pit viper is the copperhead. In the article Snake Safety Tips, it tells us that although most venomous snake bites that are treated come from copperheads, they are also the least serious bites. So here we have our picture of the copperhead. As I said, they are a pit viper, so they do have the pits in between their eye and their nostril. They are going to have a triangular or arrow-shaped head, which is very common with pit vipers, and that's usually a pretty easy thing to see even from a distance. Their coloration is going to be a dull orange, sort of a terracotta orange, with dark reddish-brown bands that are kind of in the shape of bow ties, as you can see on our picture here. And they can reach a length of about 2 feet. Our second venomous snake in Texas is the cottonmouth, which is sometimes called the water moccasin. I encountered quite a few of these while exploring the rivers around Texas, and they can be pretty aggressive and a little bit frightening. So, to identify them, we have our chart again. They are another pit viper, so they will have the pits on their face. They do have that common triangular-shaped head of the pit vipers. The coloration on these will be dark green, dark brown, almost to the point of being black, and they do have bands, as you can see in the photo here, but oftentimes the base coloring is so dark that you won't even see these bands, and they can reach a length of 3.5 feet. So they are a big snake, and they are fairly muscular and thicker than some of the other snakes. But the most defining feature that these snakes have is where it gets its name, cottonmouth. And what that means is that if they are feeling vulnerable or frightened, they will open their mouth very wide while they are facing you. And the inside of their mouth is a very bright white. It looks like cotton. Our third pit viper today is the serpent that Texas seems to be the most famous for, and that is the rattlesnake. Again, the rattlesnake does have pits on its face, like the other pit vipers. It has a triangular or arrowhead-shaped head. And I know you guys think that I forgot to color this picture, but I promise I didn't. The problem is that we have 9 species of rattlesnakes in Texas, and they come in a variety of colors. They can be gray, brown, tan, green, or even pink. And all of these colors come in different patterns also. Because there are so many species, there is also a wide range of sizes between 2 and 4.5 feet. So I would like you guys to focus on their most defining feature today to remember how to identify them, and that is the rattle that they have on their tail. You can see that in my picture here is the rattle on the tail. And a lot of times you will notice this feature first. Even if you don't see it, you will hear it. If you get too close to a rattlesnake, they are going to shake that tail and make a very scary noise to tell you to leave them alone. And the last type of snake that we are going to discuss today is the coral snake. There is an article co-authored by a few doctors and a few pharmacists titled Texas Coral Snake Bites. And this article states that in the United States, bites from the coral snakes account for less than 2% of total reported snake bites to people. So while it's much more uncommon to encounter or be bitten by a coral snake, it's still a good idea to be able to identify them. These are my favorite. As you can see, they are very colorful. These are not in the family of pit vipers. They are actually in the family of cobras. So they will not have the pits on their face, and their head shape is a little bit different. It's going to be more rounded. It's not that triangular shaped head. Their colors are red, yellow, and black, and all of these colors will be on one snake. There are a few non-venomous snakes that have these same colors, but what is going to help you differentiate between those is the fact that in the coral snake, the yellow bands are touching the red bands, and that is not the case with the non-venomous snakes. It will be in different orders. So remember, the yellow and red touching is a bad sign. These snakes are a little bit smaller. They only get to be up to 2.5 feet. Now you know the 4 types of venomous snakes to watch out for in Texas: the copperhead, the cottonmouth, the rattlesnake, and coral snakes. You should be able to identify them based on their head shape, coloring, size, and defining features. Although I don't recommend that you approach any snake, even if you don't believe that it is venomous based on these identifiers, I hope that knowing how to identify them at least makes you feel a little bit safer and more confident in your outdoor excursions in Texas. Thank you.